Carl Jung warned us, spiritually awakened people emit a rare aura you must understand. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung once said this, reminding us that true spiritual awakening isn't about becoming someone new, but about remembering who you've always been beneath the noise of the world. In this video, we'll explore the rare and radiant aura that spiritually awakened people emit, an energy that not everyone can understand, yet one that transforms every life it touches. Have you ever felt others are drawn to you without knowing why? Or that your presence changes the atmosphere in a room? If so, this message is for you. As you listen, reflect on your own journey and share in the comments how spiritual awakening has changed the way people respond to your energy. Let's dive deep together here on Spiritual Wisdom into the unseen realm of your divine aura and the power it carries. 1. The unified field. Inner harmony creates outer peace. Spiritually awakened people radiate a calm that cannot be faked, a peace that flows from a place far deeper than appearances or effort. They do not try to appear enlightened or serene. They simply are. Their tranquility is the reflection of battles won within, of conflicts faced, understood, and ultimately dissolved. Carl Jung described this state as psychological coherence, the moment when a person's thoughts, emotions, and actions finally align. There is no longer a war between what they think, what they feel, and what they do. Through the process of spiritual awakening, they have integrated every fragment of their being into harmony, turning inner chaos into clarity. This balance forms what Jung called a unified field, an invisible but powerful energy that radiates outward, influencing those around them in ways words cannot describe. It is the quiet strength of someone who has met their darkness and made peace with it, transforming fear into wisdom and pain into light. When such a person enters a room, the energy shifts almost instantly. You might not know why, but your body feels it before your mind does. The air becomes lighter, your heart slows down, and a sense of ease begins to settle in. Their presence has the power to soothe without speaking because they are aligned within. Their energy does not seek to dominate or impress. It harmonizes with the world around them. This is not charisma, which often carries the desire to be noticed. It is presence without performance, the rare ability to simply be. Their peace is authentic, born from years of self-confrontation, acceptance, and transformation. They have faced the storms of their own soul and emerged with the kind of serenity that no external force can shake. In their presence, there is no noise, no pretending, only stillness that feels alive. Their energy no longer leaks through insecurity or fear. It circulates as a balanced current of spiritual power, silent but undeniable. The mystery of their aura lies in this internal coherence. When the mind, body, and soul vibrate together in harmony, they emit a frequency of healing. It is like a perfectly tuned instrument. Those who encounter it cannot help but resonate with its sound. On a subconscious level, people feel safe around them because coherence is deeply familiar to the human spirit. It reminds us of what we once were before the world fragmented us. In spirituality, this is called alignment, the bridge between the inner world and the outer one. Spiritually awakened people have mastered this art of alignment, living in peace with reality rather than fighting against it. Their energy does not seek to fix, control, or prove it simply exists, steady and magnetic. Through their balance, they emit a field that restores calm to others. Sometimes, a single word from them can feel like medicine. Sometimes, silence itself becomes their language, and in that silence, others remember what peace feels like. This phenomenon reveals an ancient truth. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world. Jung believed that when the conscious and unconscious mind reconcile, the result is wholeness, and wholeness radiates outward as serenity. Spiritually awakened people embody this principle in human form. Their peaceful aura is not the absence of struggle, but the triumph over it. They have walked through pain, not to escape it, but to understand it. Their spirituality is not an escape from life, it is participation in life with open eyes and a quiet heart. Every scar has become a source of light, every shadow a teacher. To be near them is to glimpse what wholeness feels like, to sense the possibility of peace within yourself. Their energy speaks to the deepest part of you, reminding you that true freedom comes not from controlling the world, but from mastering yourself. The vibration of coherence is the silent proof of awakening. It needs no explanation, no validation. It simply is a mirror reflecting what you too can become when your soul, mind, and heart finally move as one. Comment below. I am in the flow of inner peace. If you are ready to align your energy with the unified field of harmony and let your aura radiate calm, balance, and spiritual awakening. 2. The transparent shadow. Light through conscious darkness. Awakened individuals no longer wear masks of perfection because they have learned to embrace what most people fear within their own shadow. Carl Jung called this sacred state shadow transparency, a rare clarity that emerges when your inner darkness has been illuminated by awareness. These souls have faced the tempests within their anger, fear, and forbidden desires, and instead of suppressing them, they chose to understand and integrate them. That courageous self-acceptance dissolves inner conflict and gives birth to an aura of depth and authenticity that can be felt instantly. Their presence feels grounding, honest, and safe. They no longer project their pain onto others or hide behind a facade of endless positivity. Around them, people feel accepted, not because they hear comforting words, but because they feel a truth that needs no performance. Their energy carries a quiet confidence that allows others to exhale and finally be real. In spirituality, this transparency represents one of the highest stages of spiritual growth, a sacred merging of light and dark, strength and tenderness, awareness and acceptance. When someone integrates their shadow, their spirituality is no longer theory. It becomes embodied wisdom. They move through life with calm assurance, their compassion steady and unshaken, their actions aligned with their inner truth. They understand that denying the dark only strengthens its grip, while embracing it transforms it into light. This wisdom turns them into silent mirrors of truth for those around them, gently encouraging others to shed their masks and meet themselves honestly. They do not need to prove their goodness, for their peace and presence speak louder than words. Their spiritual growth is not about rising above the human experience, but mastering it from within, transforming wounds into wisdom and fear into understanding. Jung believed that enlightenment is not reached by avoiding darkness, but by becoming conscious of it. Most people resist their flaws and carry the exhausting burden of pretending to be good. Yet spiritually awakened souls have walked into the chaos of their own hearts and discovered beauty there. They have learned that emotions like anger, jealousy, and pain are not enemies, but messengers pointing toward forgotten parts of the self that crave healing. Through deep awareness, they have turned judgment into compassion, fear into understanding, and shame into humility. That transformation radiates from them as a magnetic calm, a serenity that can be felt before a single word is spoken. It's why others feel drawn to them, not because of what they achieve, but because of who they have become. This state of being cannot be imitated. It is the natural fruit of inner labor and spiritual courage. Those who have faced their shadow carry a peace that no chaos can disturb. They are not ruled by emotional reactivity, but guided by awareness, clarity, and presence. Their very energy becomes medicine healing, not through effort, but through embodiment. In their presence, hearts feel understood, souls feel safe, and restless minds begin to quiet. This is what true spirituality looks like: light shining through conscious darkness, where wounds become wisdom and pain becomes purpose. Through such integration, the human spirit transcends illusion and remembers that even the darkest parts of us were never meant to destroy us. They were meant to awaken us. Have you ever faced your own shadow with complete honesty? If you've experienced moments where darkness revealed your deepest light, share your story in the comments so others can learn from your journey. If not, simply comment, "I will try." Together, we'll walk through the transparent shadow and discover the light within. 3. The timeless presence, living in the eternal now. Spiritually awakened people, as Carl Jung revealed through his profound spiritual wisdom, no longer hide behind masks of perfection because they have faced what most people fear, their own shadow. Jung called this rare state shadow transparency, a sacred clarity that arises when one's darkness is brought into the light of awareness. These individuals have journeyed through their storms of anger, fear, and desire, not to repress them, but to understand and integrate them. By confronting themselves with honesty and compassion, they dissolve inner conflict and radiate an aura of authenticity that others can feel immediately. Their energy is calm, safe, and grounding, as if their very presence gives silent permission for others to drop their masks and be real. You can feel that they don't need to prove their worth or play a role to be loved. Their peace speaks louder than any performance. In spirituality, this state of shadow transparency represents one of the highest forms of growth, a merging of light and dark, strength and vulnerability, awareness and acceptance. It is no longer about escaping the world, but mastering oneself within it. When a person integrates their shadow, spirituality becomes embodied and real, not just an idea. Their words carry weight because their actions mirror them. Their compassion is unwavering because it is born from understanding their own pain. They know that repressing darkness only feeds it, while embracing it dissolves its control. In their company, others feel seen without judgment, inspired to drop pretenses and meet themselves honestly. Their authenticity becomes a mirror of truth, quietly reminding you that peace isn't found in denial, but in self-acceptance. Carl Jung warned that enlightenment is not reached by avoiding darkness, but by becoming conscious of it. Most people deny their flaws, burdened by the illusion of being good, but spiritually awakened souls have walked through their chaos and returned with wisdom. They understand that emotions like anger or jealousy are not enemies, but messengers pointing to wounds that long for healing. Through awareness, they transmute judgment into compassion, fear into strength, and shame into humility. This transformation gives rise to a magnetic calmness, an inner stillness that feels like home to anyone near them. Others are drawn to their energy not because it dazzles, but because it feels whole, real, unshaken, and alive. This state cannot be imitated. It is earned through deep inner work and radical honesty. A person who has faced their shadow carries a peace that no chaos can break. They no longer live as victims of reaction, but as masters of awareness. Their presence itself heals, not through words or doctrines, but through vibration, a frequency that reminds the soul of what it means to return to oneself. As Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The awakened understand this deeply. They no longer fear their darkness. They have turned it into light. This is what true spirituality looks like: light that has passed through darkness and emerged refined. It is the beauty of wholeness, not perfection. The serenity of balance, not escape. When you begin to embrace your own shadow with the same courage, you will discover that your deepest wounds were never punishments, but invitations to wake up, to grow, and to become who you were always meant to be. If today's message awakens something within you, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom and join our growing community of seekers learning to live in divine awareness. Like and share this video to spread the light of consciousness. And remember, the eternal now is not a place you reach, but a state you return to. 4. Conscious love, connection beyond attachment or detachment. Their love does not come from emptiness or fear, but from fullness and understanding, from a place where the heart no longer seeks to be completed, but simply to express what it already is. Carl Jung called this conscious love, a form of affection that is not born from need or control, but from awareness and freedom. It is a love that sees, not seeks, a love that recognizes the divine essence in another soul without losing itself in the process. For those walking the path of spirituality and spiritual awakening, love evolves from emotion into energy, from desire into presence. It stops asking, "How can you make me feel whole?" and begins whispering, "How can I honor the divine in you while remaining true to myself?" This love is not a grasping or merging, but a sacred witnessing, one soul bowing to another, both aware of their shared connection to something greater. Such love holds boundaries, yet its boundaries are not walls. They are pathways of respect. Spiritually awakened people understand that to love truly, one must allow both closeness and space, devotion and detachment, tenderness and truth. They know that saying yes when energy flows in harmony opens the door to intimacy, while saying no when something feels misaligned preserves peace and integrity. Their love is not about pleasing or proving, but about honoring what is sacred within and between. When they say no, it is not rejection, it is protection of the light they carry. When they say yes, it is not submission, it is celebration. They act from clarity, not confusion, from freedom, not fear. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Through the light of spiritual awakening, these individuals have made love conscious. They have seen their own shadows, dissolved their projections, and understood that obsession is not devotion. and attachment is not connection. Love, once tangled in the unconscious, has become a choice, pure, awake, and intentional. When you stand near such a person, their energy speaks louder than words. You feel safe, not because they promise to fix you, but because they allow you to simply be. Their love carries no chains, only mirrors. It reflects your beauty back to you and invites you to remember your wholeness. They do not heal by effort, but by embodiment their mere presence heals. It is as if their aura whispers, "You are already enough." Their love does not demand. It inspires. It does not control. It liberates. And in that sacred stillness, you realize that their affection feels like sunlight, warm, constant, and never possessive. In a world built on fear-based attachment and transactional affection, their love feels otherworldly. It flows like a river that does not cling to the stones it passes, yet everything it touches is transformed by its presence. Their heart beats to a divine rhythm, reminding others of the freedom that love was always meant to hold. Through their spiritual wisdom, they show that love is not meant to fill the void, but to awaken the soul. They teach that caring deeply does not require losing yourself, that openness does not mean surrendering identity. True love does not ask you to shrink. It invites you to expand. It is the dance between self and soul, between heaven and earth. This is why spiritually awakened people radiate such rare peace. Their love is neither fiery nor cold, but balanced like sacred light, illuminating without burning, guiding without binding. It is love that flows with awareness, holds space without control, and embodies the truth that real union happens only between two whole beings. Conscious love, as Jung revealed through his insight into human nature and spirituality, is not a fleeting emotion. It is a state of being where compassion meets clarity, where tenderness holds hands with truth, and where every act of love becomes a reflection of the divine awakening within. Comment below, "I love consciously, without attachment or fear," if you're ready to experience love as a sacred connection, not a dependency. Let your words remind others that real love begins with awareness. 5. Creative emptiness, the womb of infinite possibility. Carl Jung described creative emptiness as the sacred womb of infinite possibility, the still, inner sanctuary where every new insight, vision, and transformation is born. It is not the emptiness of absence, but the presence of vast openness that appears when one releases the heavy armor of opinions, identities, and fears. In this silence, spirituality deepens, and spiritual development unfolds like dawn breaking after a long night. When a person reaches this depth of awareness, they no longer seek validation or struggle to define themselves. They stop fighting the current of life and allow it to flow through them. In that surrender, a peace that surpasses understanding rises naturally, a fertile stillness where divine intelligence moves without resistance. This is the state Jung called the creative void, the quiet center where the pulse of creation itself begins to stir, where each breath becomes an act of divine participation and every moment a reflection of the infinite. Those who embody this sacred emptiness radiate an aura that feels rare and magnetic. Their presence transforms the atmosphere, not because they speak loudly, but because their silence carries truth. They do not strive to impress. They simply are, and that being becomes their greatest influence. Having emptied themselves of attachment and expectation, life expresses itself through them with effortless grace. They no longer live by fear or desire, but are guided by an inner rhythm that feels ancient and eternal. This state allows light and shadow to coexist in harmony, joy and sorrow, to dance as one, gain and loss to merge into understanding. Because they have made peace with the paradox of existence, they embody the natural balance of the universe. Their creativity does not come from ambition, but from alignment. Every word, every glance, and every gesture carries authenticity, born not from thought, but from presence, from the stillness of the soul that has remembered its oneness with all life. Jung saw this as the pinnacle of spirituality, a mind emptied of noise yet luminous with wisdom, a heart freed of illusion yet overflowing with compassion. In this inner space, the separation between self and universe dissolves completely, revealing life as an endless act of creation. Inspiration no longer needs to be forced. It arrives naturally, like sunlight streaming through an open window. This is the original state of being, the return to the soul's pure awareness, where you are both observer and creator, vessel and light. When the mind ceases its need to control, the divine takes over, and life begins to paint its masterpiece through your consciousness. At this stage of spiritual development, energy becomes magnetic to synchronicity, beauty, and truth. For the awakened have aligned with the intelligence that sustains existence itself. They no longer chase purpose. They are purpose embodied. To live from this creative emptiness is to live in flow, trusting that silence has meaning and that every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. This is not detachment, but divine engagement, a state where simply existing bridges the seen and unseen. Those who reach this awareness become living embodiments of creation itself. Their calm becomes medicine. Their presence becomes prayer. Their openness becomes inspiration. They remind us that emptiness is not a void to fear, but the infinite canvas from which all miracles emerge. It is the sacred pause between thoughts where the soul breathes and life renews itself again and again. And in that stillness, one realizes the eternal truth Jung pointed to, that the highest creativity and the deepest spirituality are born not from accumulation, but from surrender, not from doing more, but from becoming less, until all that remains is the pure, boundless presence of life itself, serene, luminous, and free. To affirm your connection to the infinite creative source within, declare your intention. Comment below, "I am the creator of infinite possibilities." To honor your spiritual awakening and remind others that true power is born in the stillness of creative emptiness. True spiritual awakening is not about escaping reality. It's about transforming it. When your energy becomes clear and your aura rare, you no longer attract chaos. You create harmony. Remember, as Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So keep walking your path of self-awareness and inner peace, because your light has the power to awaken others. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next journey into higher understanding. Quantum leaping is real. Here's what Carl Jung never taught you. As Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Today, on Spiritual Wisdom, we're diving into a truth that even Jung himself never fully revealed: the reality of quantum leaping. and how it can transform your life. This isn't just theory, it's a doorway to personal growth, happiness, and a deeper spiritual awakening. Imagine breaking free from the limits of your current reality and stepping boldly into the life you've always felt was waiting for you. Are you ready to explore what it really means to leap into a higher version of yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever felt a sudden shift, as if life catapulted you into a new chapter overnight? 1. Quantum jumping is a real, energetic process. Quantum leaping is not simply a metaphor for change, nor is it a mindset trick. It is a vibrational leap, a real energetic process that echoes the mysteries of quantum physics, where electrons do not climb in slow progression, but jump instantaneously from one orbit to another without passing through the space between. This is the hidden pattern of transformation available to us in our own lives. You do not need to crawl step by step toward a new identity, because true change does not come through gradual progression, but through an energetic shift that redefines who you are in a single moment. Spirituality teaches that awakening often arrives like lightning, a sudden illumination rather than a slow dawn. And this is the essence of quantum leaping. You shift identity vibrationally, crossing into the man you were meant to become, the way light instantly fills a room when a switch is flipped. Carl Jung spoke often of individuation, the journey of becoming whole, yet even he never fully explained the instantaneous energetic nature of transformation. The leap is not bound by time or habit, but by vibration. It happens when you stop identifying with the orbit of your old self and accept fully, without hesitation, the frequency of your higher self. This does not mean pretending to be something you are not. It means embodying what already exists in potential, aligning your entire being with a reality that has been waiting for you. A man does not become courageous after years of wrestling with fear. He becomes courageous the moment he decides fear no longer commands him. That decision, that ignition, is a quantum leap, and it reflects the truth that reality responds to your vibration, not your timetable. Every emotion, every thought, every choice is an energetic ripple. But a leap occurs when you choose to sever ties with the old orbit, when you no longer negotiate with the identity of who you once were, but instead inhabit fully the energy of who you are destined to be. This is not reckless change. It is conscious awakening. The moment you realize that life is multidimensional and that the version of yourself you dream of already exists in another frequency. To leap is to embody that frequency now, to stop waiting, to claim it. Spiritual awakening is never about slow accumulation. It is about alignment, and alignment happens the instant you surrender the old vibration and embrace the new. This is why so many men in midlife feel restless and trapped, not because they have failed, but because their soul whispers that the next leap is long overdue. You have walked enough steps on the staircase of incremental progress, and now the path ahead demands a leap, because the life you long for cannot be reached by effort alone, but only by stepping into the consciousness of it here and now. Until you make this shift, your unconscious will continue to steer your path, and you will call it fate, as Jung warned. But when you leap, you seize fate itself and transform it into destiny. A true quantum leap is a spiritual awakening, a deliberate crossing from the man you were into the man you are meant to be. And it happens not tomorrow, not after a slow grind of years, but in the instant you align with the vibration of your higher self. Comment below, "I am leaping into my highest reality," if you are ready to experience the true power of quantum jumping. 2. Discomfort signals the jump. Discomfort is not a sign that you are failing. It is the signal that you are on the edge of transformation. And when you begin to understand this truth, you enter into the very heart of spiritual wisdom that even Carl Jung, with all of his profound psychological insight, only partially revealed. Jung once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And this is exactly what happens when you experience what modern seekers call a quantum leap. Transformation rarely feels like a smooth or thrilling ascension. Instead, it often arrives as confusion, stillness, or chaos that unsettles the foundations of who you thought you were. These moments of disruption are not accidents, but necessary ruptures. The evidence that your old self is expiring and a new frequency is being born within you. It is like standing in the middle of an earthquake. Everything you relied on shakes. The walls of certainty crack, and you wonder if you will survive. Yet earthquakes do not come to destroy for no reason. They come to clear the ground, to make room for structures that are stronger, truer, and more aligned with the person you are meant to become. Emotional discomfort, whether it shows up as emptiness, misalignment, or that restless gnawing inside your chest, is not a curse or a flaw, but a signpost from your inner world. Jung often reminded us that the psyche uses symptoms to communicate what the conscious mind is unwilling to face, and that what we repress always returns until we have the courage to transform it. So when you feel restlessness or hollowness, do not treat it as a defect in your character, but as the whisper of your soul, urging you to move forward. Think of a snake shedding its skin. The process looks awkward, uncomfortable, even painful, but without it, the snake cannot grow. You too are shedding an identity that no longer serves the next chapter of your life. And though the process may feel unbearable at times, it is sacred. Too many people believe that spiritual awakening should feel serene, blissful, and filled with light at all times. Yet if you study Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom closely, you will see that true awakening often feels like being dismantled before you are rebuilt. He once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul," which explains why many run from discomfort instead of embracing it. But avoiding discomfort only prolongs suffering. When you confront the emptiness and step into the chaos with awareness, you open the door to creation itself. This is where quantum leaping takes place, not in comfort, but in courage. What once appeared as pain becomes a sacred teacher, guiding you toward the higher frequency of your authentic self. Picture a man who has spent decades in a stable job, admired for his reliability, yet inwardly he feels numb, restless, and disconnected. From the outside, nothing is wrong, but inside he knows he cannot continue. That discomfort is not proof that he has wasted his life. It is the universe shaking his foundations, preparing him for a leap. If he listens, he might finally follow his true calling, create deeper connections, or begin a new chapter that aligns with his essence. If he ignores the signs, the restlessness will intensify until change is unavoidable. This is the paradox of growth. The pain you most resist often hides the transformation you most need. So when you find yourself lost in confusion, trapped in stillness, or overwhelmed by chaos, remember that you are not broken. You are in the middle of renewal. Your soul is stretching toward a higher vibration, even if your conscious mind cannot yet understand it. Jung warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And that is why discomfort matters. It is the unconscious breaking through the surface, demanding that you evolve. Instead of resisting, trust it. That ache in your chest, that gnawing dissatisfaction, that restless longing are not signs of weakness, but proof that your leap has already begun. And when you emerge on the other side, you will not just be surviving, you will be reborn into a life aligned with your deepest truth, a life that Carl Jung would recognize as the reward of those who dare to face the darkness in order to awaken to the light of spiritual wisdom. Do you feel the discomfort calling you forward? If you do, declare it boldly in the comments. I am ready to leap into my new reality. 3. Identity is a frequency. You are not a static being. You are a living frequency, a broadcast that constantly transmits into the unseen field around you. And the truth of quantum leaping lies in this. The universe does not answer to your words or surface desires. It responds to the emotional and vibrational tone you carry within. You may affirm that you want peace, wealth, or love. But if your inner broadcast is still tuned to fear, scarcity, or self-doubt, life will only reflect those old echoes back to you. Carl Jung revealed the power of the unconscious in shaping our destiny when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And here is where spirituality and spiritual growth expand his insight. Fate is not fixed. It is the mirror of your frequency. Transformation is not about forcing new thoughts on top of old wounds. It is about collapsing the vibration of the outdated self and choosing to radiate a new signal, one that already carries the energy of who you are becoming. In the rhythm of modern life, you can see this principle everywhere. Think of someone who wakes up with stress already tightening their chest, scrolling endlessly through notifications, comparing themselves to others, carrying the weight of bills, obligations, and regrets. They tell themselves they want a different day, a breakthrough, yet their body and emotions are still tuned to lack. And so the day plays out like a repetitive script from yesterday. Now picture another person in the same world, rising with intention, taking a deep breath before looking at a screen, choosing gratitude for what already exists, even if circumstances seem unchanged. They align with a frequency of calm, of courage, of joy, and suddenly the world responds. The right call comes at the right time. Conversations feel warmer, and opportunities appear where none seemed possible before. The difference is not luck, it is vibration, the frequency of identity silently shaping what the quantum field returns. Your identity is not the mask you wear. It is the signal you send, and the field is always listening. If you vibrate as someone powerless, life will continuously mirror situations where you feel trapped. If you choose to vibrate as someone capable, worthy, and aligned with truth, life begins to rearrange itself in ways that affirm that broadcast. Albert Einstein's timeless reminder, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. Points directly to this hidden key. You are not waiting for proof to change. You are broadcasting change before proof arrives. Every moment gives you a choice: to stay loyal to yesterday's frequency, or to step into the higher vibration of the self you long to be. Spiritual growth is the practice of noticing what you are broadcasting and daring to shift it again and again until your outer world aligns with your inner truth. When you realize that identity is frequency, you stop asking when life will change and start asking what frequency you are transmitting right now. Because the leap into your new reality begins not when circumstances shift, but when you decide to collapse the old self and radiate the energy of the new. And it is in that moment, repeated with awareness, that true transformation and freedom begin. 4. 5-step process of quantum jumping. When discomfort shows up as restlessness, heaviness, or frustration, it is not a weakness, but a signal that you are standing on the threshold of transformation. Because in the language of spirituality, this tension is energetic interference, pointing you toward a larger version of yourself. Instead of fearing it, see it as confirmation that you are close to breakthrough. For the body and mind often resist most fiercely right before expansion occurs. The key is to recognize that the unease is not punishment, but permission, an invitation to step forward into a new reality. The moment this discomfort arises, the next move is to interrupt the emotional pattern immediately, because emotions are loops that gather momentum if left unchecked. A simple physical change, like shifting your breath into longer exhales, lifting your posture, walking briskly across the room, rinsing your hands with cool water, or even speaking a single sentence of truth out loud snaps you out of the old cycle. By breaking the loop in real time, you create a pause wide enough to insert choice, and that pause is where spiritual awakening begins. From that space, you are called to embody the new timeline even before there is proof. This is not about pretending, but about teaching your nervous system to accept a higher frequency as home. Ask yourself, how would my future self move, breathe, and decide? And then step into it now. Stand taller. Speak with more certainty. Clear the clutter from your environment. Wear something that reflects the man you are becoming. Or write a phrase that your future self would say and declare it aloud. Through these embodied rehearsals, you make confidence and calmness your default, not a distant dream. Once you begin to feel this shift, it is time to take aligned action, not to chase a result, but to signal the universe that you have already become this new version of yourself. Every action is a declaration, so choose something your future self would not delay and do it today. Send the message you've been postponing. Say no to what drains your energy. Dedicate time to building a skill that truly matters. Prepare a nourishing meal, or move your body with focused intention. The power lies in the purity of action, doing it not to grasp an outcome, but to affirm, I am already aligned. The final step is detachment from the outcome. Results may not appear instantly, but holding on to expectation pulls you back into scarcity. The task is to remain in the frequency, no matter what shows up outside you. Return to the breath of your future self. Maintain the posture and tone you practiced. Stay consistent with your routine, and measure success by your to remain faithful to this state. When you release the need to check and control, you invite synchronicity to unfold in its own time, because cause and effect often travel by hidden roads. Through this rhythm, recognizing discomfort as a threshold, breaking the loop, embodying the new state, taking aligned action, and letting go of results. Quantum leaping becomes more than an idea. It turns into a repeatable process that blends psychology with spirituality and allows you to walk steadily into your future. And as you practice, subtle signs confirm the leap. Conversations feel lighter, decisions come easier, temptations lose their grip, and opportunities approach with less resistance, all because you tuned yourself to the frequency of the life you chose to live. If you're ready to apply this 5-step process of quantum jumping into your own life, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's step into this new reality together. 5. The field responds to emotional congruence, not logic. The field of reality does not bend to clever logic or endless affirmations, but to the resonance of your emotions, because the universe is always mirroring back what you are truly being. You can repeat the word abundance 1,000 times, but if your heart is still heavy with fear, lack, or doubt, the reflection will always be scarcity. This is not punishment, and it is not judgment. It is calibration, a perfect mirror that reveals the frequency you live in. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And this truth shows us why so many remain trapped in cycles of frustration, even when they consciously desire change. Their mind may visualize wealth, love, or freedom, but their unconscious emotions vibrate with the opposite, and the field cannot be fooled, because it responds not to words, but to the deepest state of being. Quantum leaping, then, is not about tricking the universe with mental affirmations, but about embodying the energy of the reality you seek so fully that thought, emotion, and belief move as one. Imagine a radio station. No matter how badly you want to hear your favorite song, unless you tune into the right frequency, all you will hear is static. The same principle applies to manifestation. Until your inner frequency matches your desired reality, the field has nothing coherent to amplify. Spiritual wisdom tells us that the shift occurs when you stop living in contradiction, when your body, mind, and soul are no longer at war. Jung's work on the shadow reminds us that what is hidden within us secretly governs our lives, and until we integrate those hidden wounds, they will sabotage our attempts at transformation. Scarcity is not just a thought. It is a state your body remembers. When fear and lack dominate, your nervous system contracts, your energy field tightens, and your perception narrows. Even if you think abundance, your body betrays the lie because it still carries the memory of struggle. That is why healing, shadow work, and integration are essential. Jung observed that there is no coming to consciousness without pain, because only by facing and embracing what was once rejected can we shift our emotional reality. The moment your emotions align with your conscious vision, the field recalibrates and mirrors abundance, love, or freedom with striking accuracy. The universe, in truth, is an echo chamber of being. You cannot outthink your emotional state, but you can transform it. And this is the real secret of quantum leaping. When your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs flow together in harmony, resistance dissolves, and the field responds instantly. What looks like a miracle is in fact the natural physics of consciousness, and synchronicities, opportunities, and breakthroughs begin to appear as if reality itself is conspiring in your favor. Rumi said, What you seek is seeking you. And this is not only poetry, but a description of how energy magnetizes when coherence is achieved. You are not being judged. You are being mirrored. The field is not testing you. It is showing you who you are at the level of vibration. To leap into a new timeline, you must stop living in contradiction, because no amount of wishing can override the truth of your emotional frequency. Align your inner state with the reality you long for. Bring the unconscious into light. Heal the fragments of your shadow and embody the abundance you desire. Then the leap is no longer an effort. It becomes a natural unfolding, because the field cannot do anything but reflect the wholeness of what you have become. 6. Doubt collapses the broadcast. Doubt collapses the broadcast because the very instant you ask yourself, "Is it working?" you interrupt the energy that is meant to carry you forward. And in doing so, you weaken the very transformation you are longing for. Constant checking for proof is like pulling a seed out of the soil every day to see if it has sprouted, never giving it the chance to take root. What you truly need in spirituality and spiritual growth is not a fragile belief that shakes when life delays its response, but a broadcast, a clear and unwavering signal of identity that you sustain no matter what the external world reflects back. Think of a radio station. It never stops to check if its sound is reaching you. It simply broadcasts, and because of that constant, the signal inevitably finds the receivers tuned to it. There was once a man who wanted to change his career, yet he sabotaged himself by refreshing his inbox every hour, anxiously searching for confirmation. All this did was drain his energy and reinforce his old identity of waiting and doubting. His shift only came when he decided to live each day as if he were already the professional he envisioned. He dressed the part, spoke with confidence, and invested his time in the work he wanted to embody. Within months, opportunities aligned with his new identity began to appear as if by magic. As Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Broadcasting is precisely this act of turning your chosen identity into a conscious signal that you send out, without tearing it down by demanding immediate evidence. Doubt acts like static on the frequency, clouding your message so that the universe cannot respond clearly, while faith in your broadcast is a clean channel through which synchronicity can move. This is why spiritual wisdom has always taught that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Because the unseen is not less real. It is simply not yet visible. Instead of asking, "Is it working?" the only question that matters is, "Am I still broadcasting?" If the answer is yes, then your role is simply to sustain the signal, because reality will always adjust itself to match the frequency you hold. Your life does not change by chasing proof, but by becoming the steady signal of the life you choose. When you live inside that unwavering broadcast, the proof will not only appear, it will flood you, because reality has no choice but to echo back the vibration you have been faithfully sending. Stay connected with our spiritual wisdom community by subscribing to the channel. Here, we uncover hidden truths and walk together on the path of awakening. Remember, doubt collapses the broadcast, but faith keeps your energy aligned with the abundance already waiting for you. 7. Jumping creates chaos. It's not a sign of failure. A quantum leap is never as smooth as we wish it to be, because when you shift into a new frequency, the field of your life begins to reorganize itself in ways that can feel chaotic and unsettling. What once felt secure suddenly unravels, not as a sign of failure, but as proof that the old structures are being dismantled to make room for something greater. Silence from friends, distance in relationships, or even the loss of opportunities are not punishments, but clearings. The frequency you lived in before cannot survive in the higher vibration you are moving toward. And just like a house being taken apart brick by brick, the dismantling is necessary for the new design to emerge. This process can be disorienting because you are leaving behind familiar territory. And as Carl Jung reminded us, in all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order, meaning that even the confusion has an intelligence working beneath it. When you experience this unraveling, it is easy to misinterpret it as rejection or abandonment, but in truth, it is the universe aligning you with what matches your authentic path. A man who left his corporate job after 2 decades to follow his calling as a healer described how quickly the life he knew began to fall apart. The daily calls and social gatherings that once gave him comfort disappeared, and for a while he thought he had made a mistake. But slowly, new connections arrived, clients, mentors, and friendships that resonated with who he was becoming, rather than who he used to be. The silence became space for him to discover his voice. The loss became room for new opportunities, and the distance gave him clarity about what relationships were truly aligned. What he first experienced as chaos revealed itself to be the very proof of his transformation. This is the essence of spirituality and the path of spiritual awakening. To recognize that what looks like disorder is often a hidden order, working to reshape your life to match your new frequency. You may feel stripped of what once defined you, but this is no different than a snake shedding its skin so it can grow. Misalignments surface so they can be released, and the unraveling is not a collapse, but a rebirth. Each silence, each distance, and each loss carries within it the seed of a new beginning. If you can trust this process, you will see that chaos is not the end. It is the very sign that the leap is real and that life is preparing you for a reality that fully reflects your true self. 8. Staying in the new broadcast anchors the shift. When people attempt to quantum leap into a higher version of themselves, most fail not because the leap is impossible, but because they do not remain in the new vibration long enough for reality to align with it. They jump with excitement, but impatience and old conditioning quickly pull them back into their familiar patterns, and in that collapse, they mistakenly believe the leap has failed. In truth, reality is not instant, but elastic, bending slowly to meet the frequency you hold. Just as a seed requires time in the soil before it breaks through the surface, your new vibration needs time to anchor before the outer world can reflect it back to you. And here lies the deeper spiritual wisdom that even Carl Jung, with all his insight into the human psyche, never fully revealed. Transformation is not only about the initial spark, but the sustained resonance that follows. To remain in that frequency requires trust, discipline, and awareness. Jung himself once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The unconscious pulls of fear, doubt, and impatience are what drag you back into your old life. And unless you confront them, you cannot sustain your new identity. It is in the moments when no one is watching, in the silence of your own thoughts and emotions, that your true broadcast is sent into the universe. What you feel when the world is not looking shapes reality more than what you perform publicly, because vibration speaks louder than words. If your inner life is scattered between faith and doubt, your signal is fragmented. But when your inner life is steady in trust, reality has no choice but to bend toward it. Every time you question, why hasn't it happened yet? You are unknowingly sending out the vibration of lack, and lack cannot create abundance. Impatience is not just restlessness. It is mistrust in disguise, and mistrust interrupts the leap. To hold the vibration is to dwell in the as if, to embody already having what you desire until it becomes natural, until it seeps into your unconscious and becomes your default state. William James reminded us that belief creates the actual fact, and belief is not measured in moments of passion, but in the quiet consistency of your inner stance. Ralph Waldo Emerson echoed this truth when he said, "The ancestor of every action is a thought." For when thought is sustained with unwavering feeling, it inevitably becomes reality. Quantum leaping, then, is not a sudden miracle, but an inner discipline, a commitment to keep your vibration steady no matter how long reality takes to catch up. This is where true spiritual awakening begins, because spirituality is not only belief in the unseen, but the patience to live within it until the scene transforms. The leap is real the moment you refuse to collapse, the moment you choose trust over doubt, the moment you breathe through the silence and remind yourself that the shift is already unfolding. When your inner broadcast stays aligned, reality has no choice but to respond. And so the great lesson, beyond Jung's exploration of the unconscious, is that you are not only a seeker of hidden truths, but also a transmitter of frequencies that shape the world. What you feel when no one else can see is not just a private moment, it is the seed of your new reality. If you're still with us on this journey, comment below, "I'm anchored in the shift." Your words show us that you're ready to stay in the new broadcast and help us build this community together. 9. Certainty without evidence is the key. The strongest signal you can ever hold is certainty in yourself, not in the outcome. Because when you are rooted in who you are becoming, rather than what you are chasing, life begins to rearrange itself to match that signal. The field, as Carl Jung hinted but never fully taught, responds with greater speed when you stop needing proof. Because proof is only the echo of your inner state. Reality never bends to frantic effort or desperate control. It bends when you consistently embody the signal of who you already know yourself to be. Think of how often in daily life people delay stepping forward until the evidence arrives, waiting for the promotion before claiming leadership, waiting for validation before speaking their truth, waiting for a perfect sign before trusting love. Yet the real shift comes when you flip the order, when you stop auditioning and begin living as though your role is already secured. A modern story illustrates this. A man who wanted to start his own business kept postponing his launch until he had one more degree, one more investor, one more nod of approval. But the day he wrote down, "I am a capable founder who builds solutions people need," and began acting from that certainty, introducing himself that way, creating as though it were real, organizing his life around it, doors opened with unexpected ease. Clients and partners showed up, not because he forced results, but because his signal was finally clear. This is spirituality made practical. This is spiritual growth lived, not as abstract belief, but as daily choices rooted in trust. You can feel it in your own body the moment you stop negotiating with doubt. Your breath steadies, your posture shifts, and your voice carries conviction because you are no longer waiting for evidence to tell you who you are. Certainty is not arrogance or denial. It is alignment with a chosen identity that you hold through both victories and setbacks, adjusting methods when needed, but never abandoning the signal. This is the essence of a quantum leap, not a magical rescue, but a disciplined identity shift that pulls results into orbit around you. To live this truth, craft one clear sentence about who you are and practice being that signal without checking for proof. Honor daily rituals that anchor your certainty. Keep promises to yourself to strengthen trust, and let outcomes inform your tactics, but never your self-definition. The field will mirror you more quickly when you stop demanding signs and instead become the sign. And when you remain consistent long enough, reality itself has no choice but to reorganize around your unwavering presence. 10. Don't seek proof. Become the signal. What if the real reason you remain stuck is not because life is blocking you, but because you keep transmitting the same frequency of the past instead of aligning with the energy of the future you desire? In the language of spirituality and spiritual awakening, this is the essence of a quantum leap. It is not about chasing proof from the outside. It is about becoming the living proof yourself. When you pause and ask, "Am I broadcasting my future, or am I rehearsing my past?" you open a doorway to transformation, because every thought, every feeling, and every inner rehearsal is a signal sent into the field of possibility. Carl Jung spoke profoundly about the unconscious shaping our lives, yet he never showed us how deliberately shifting our inner broadcast could realign us with new timelines. That is where spiritual wisdom expands the conversation, revealing that the leap is never dramatic or chaotic. It arrives quietly, subtly, and in perfect elegance, showing itself not through explosions of change, but through alignment that feels natural, inevitable, and deeply right. You begin to notice coincidences that cannot be ignored, synchronicities that feel like signposts placed precisely in your path, and opportunities that seem to appear as if summoned by your very thoughts. These are not random accidents. They are confirmations that your signal has shifted, that you are no longer tethered to the old narrative, but walking inside a new one. Consider the man who, for years, wakes each morning rehearsing the same story of frustration about his job, repeating words of limitation, and unconsciously tying himself to a cycle he secretly hates. The moment he dares to imagine something different, the moment he begins to carry himself as though the future he longs for is already unfolding, his signal changes. At first, the shift is invisible, but slowly, small cracks in the old reality appear. A conversation overheard, a new connection introduced, an unexpected opening revealed. Within months, he finds himself living a reality once beyond reach, not because the world magically changed, but because his signal called it into existence. This is why, when you feel that subtle, elegant shift inside, you must not dismiss it as mere coincidence. It is evidence. Every synchronicity is the universe whispering, "Yes, you jumped." The true proof is not external validation. but the undeniable realignment of your inner world with what now flows into your life. The leap does not require shouting or demanding. It requires broadcasting a new frequency with such clarity that reality itself bends to meet you. This is the heart of spirituality, the living pulse of spiritual awakening. To stop seeking proof and instead become the signal. Because once you embody the future you desire, life cannot resist reflecting it back to you. Throughout this video, we explored the hidden truth behind quantum leaping and how it connects with ideas Carl Jung never fully explained. You've discovered that a leap isn't just a metaphor, it's a real shift in consciousness, a bridge between who you are today and the life you are capable of living. Now the question is, will you dare to apply these principles in your own life? Every step you take with awareness can open new possibilities for growth, happiness, and spiritual awakening. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe you are ready to take your quantum leap? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next journey into deeper truths.